morning.
Yo, 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 yo. Yes, it is. It is still morning, technically. For whatever reason, I had in my head that it's the afternoon, but that's not the case.
You must have wasn't partying last night.
I wasn't. No. Property Ebonics. Welcome to Property Ebonics. It's been a while. Hello, everyone. What's up, Al? What's good, man?
Hey.
No, yesterday was a bland day. Yesterday, midway through, I was like, man, I'm not really doing anything. The biggest activity I've done is I did get a plate set off Facebook Marketplace for $20. That was kind of nice. And then I got like a steak and mushrooms to make, and then just didn't make it. And then it occurred to me, I was like kind of going back and forth with a friend. I was like, damn, I think like I'm not sad, but this is definitely like about a little bit of a depression day. A little bit of depression day yesterday with no action, just apathy. So that fueled the day yesterday. So I made point for today to do more action. So this is part of the action. We're in Action Sunday.
They say some people stay busy as a trauma response. So like you just can't just relax and stay still because maybe you just might have things going on in your head mentally. You just can't stay still.
Damn, I just got diagnosed. Damn.
I ain't no doctor. I'm just talking about what I heard.
That's what I get all my advice from people that aren't doctors. If I don't hear it from someone who didn't hear it from someone else, I'm not taking it in. No, it is a thing though. I find days where it's like, man, I have nothing lined up. I look forward to the day because like, oh, it's gonna be a relaxing day. And then the day comes, it's like, man, I'm doing nothing, and then I tend to feel negative on those days, and yesterday was one of them. So but I'm back.
Good. You need those days sometimes though, man. You need those days just to do absolutely nothing. And sometimes that'll reset you for the busy work week or whatever ahead of you. You need those days, man.
Yeah, I suppose so, man. How's it been going for you? I feel like it's been like a good 2-3 weeks since we last spoke.
And yesterday, I took my kids to like the little fair, little carnival. They do like a little pop-up, whatever. Man, this was the most expensive carnival fair thing I've ever been to. Like, I'm telling you, I've had kids for 14 years. I've done plenty of these, even before I had kids. Whatever.
I haven't been to a carnival until I started having kids.
Like, I think I went to a carnival like maybe twice as like a teenager. Like, I don't even remember. It's been so long ago. But like, I know since I had kids, we go all the time. Every time we see a carnival, we go. This one yesterday, bro, I'm telling you, for like normal carnivals, they have like wristband passes, or you can just buy like tickets. First of all, they had no wristbands, which is normally the best deal. So I was already skeptical. You know what I mean? So I get up there, they're like, for 120 tickets, it's only $30. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Like 120 tickets for $30? Cool. I pay $30, get the tickets. I get to the first ride. Why does one ride, mind you, it's me and my two kids, one ride for one person for 20 tickets.
20 tickets.
20 tickets.
Is there like a exhibit? Was there like a whale there or something like that? What do you mean 20 tickets?
Just a tilt-a-whirl. just going around. 20. So you're telling me if all three of us want to ride, that's 60 tickets. So you're talking about 2 rides for 3 people, and then $30 is gone.
Yeah, at that, I mean, tell me about inflation. Man. Because when I was a kid, Tilt-A-Whirl, that was like a 3-ticket situation right there. Have enough tickets to get like the little sack afterwards and go down the slide. Do it 2 times. But it sounds like you can't do that in this situation.
Bro, like I spent $60 and I was like, yo, we out of here. Like I'm not. There's no, like I wasn't even, I think I might have rolled like 2 rides. I'm not wasting tickets on me.
It's like we didn't get the whole Tilt-A-Whirl experience. We just tilted a little bit. We didn't do the whole thing.
It was sad. It was crazy too because it was like not a lot of people there. And it makes sense why ain't nobody here, man. Like it's too expensive. Like it made no sense, man.
What would you say for you or your kids is like the go-to or favorite carnival ride or attraction?
Something that ever spins in circles. Like, you know what, the teacups, I go hard on the teacup. Like really? When you spin it and you got to spin the middle of it.
Oh,
I be
goodness.
going hard. I be like,
Oh gosh.
I be going hard.
Damn, that's the one thing. Age has hit me in that of like dizziness. I can't do. I think like probably not, but even when I was younger, when I was like a teen, it hit me because I used to like they had like the teacup world or the teacup ride at Disney World, and like carnivals would have it too, where you spin, and I'd enjoy it. I'd always go super fast. And recently, I went on one, and I had to like close my eyes in a different cup because my cousin was going too fast in hers. It was like, what are you? We have a whole day planned. You're gonna get sick. Yeah, I can't do the spin so much. That's remarkable that you can.
Yeah, you know the ride where you just stand up against the wall and it spins so fast it sticks you to the wall.
Gravitron?
I don't know if that's the name of it, but like
Yeah.
you can't even get your head off. You be like,
Yeah.
That's the one that made me too. That would get me real dizzy.
It used to scare me so much as a kid. I would see it from a distance and be like, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not. And then I finally did it as an adult. And I was like, you know what? Little Kirk was right. Little Kirk was onto something. This is ridiculous, but it was fun.
I conquered one of my fears yesterday.
Ooh.
I don't talk about this fear often, but I hate Ferris wheels. Listen, I love roller coasters. I love all the spinny rides, but I hate Ferris wheels because I just hate stopping at the top. Like, you know what? You go on the Ferris wheel, they stop, let other people on, but you can be like at the super top. I'm not cool with just sitting there like slowly rocking back and forth. Like
what gets you? What freaks you out about it?
It's the heights.
Oh.
Like
roller coasters though, don't you?
I love roller coasters, but I don't like if the roller coaster was just sitting there, I'll be freaking out. But like if we're moving, ooh, I love it. Like that Ferris wheel gets me. But yesterday my daughter was like, Dad, you want to go on the Ferris wheel? I was like, yeah.
I don't know if we have enough tickets left. It's like a 30 ticket ride right there.
I had to do it though. I couldn't be like no, so I did it. But luckily we didn't have to stop at the top at all. Nobody else got on, so it was cool.
Oh man, that's some say that's the best part. But I get that is a logical fear to have, especially at a carnival. Like you always hear about like accidents at not amusement parks. It's always carnivals. It's always like we're doing the Superman ride and one of the carts detached completely and someone flew into a 7-Eleven. Like it's always something along those lines. And like Ferris wheels, there's videos of people like suicide by Ferris wheel. Like they get on top and then like we're at that position. They're like, all right, I'm here. And you see people like going down and climbing down or people climbing up to try to save them. I've seen maybe 1 or 2 videos of this. And in my mind, it's creating multiple situations of this happening. But in reality, maybe it only happened like once or twice.
Oh, that's crazy. I'm not killing myself after I spend 30 tickets on a ride. That's crazy.
I still got 10 more tickets left.
That's insane. Man, I have to get on the ride twice, but I ain't no way. That's too expensive for me.
I hope your kids had fun. My favorite part about carnivals is the games. I love the games. I know they're rigged against me, but yet I still do them, and I'm sure there's some social commentary that could be attached to that. I like the dart one where they have all the balloons and they give me 3 darts. I go in there super confident, and rightfully so, because I always leave with a little snuffed, little puffed animals afterwards. It's nice.
I can see you like getting ready for the game, like tying your shoes real tight, putting the headband on.
Yeah, I'm doing one of these.
start stretching.
They're like, sir, it's been 30 minutes. I'm like, well, I spent 30 tickets, so you're gonna wait.
Like a long line of kids behind you, like, sir.
I'm doing it for us, and by us, I mean just me. Please leave me be.
The only weirdo at the carnival with no children.
Yeah, that's another thing when you become an adult with no children. If you like just stroll across and find a carnival, you have to kind of go with caution. It's like a zoo. It's like all right, well, anything that I want to do, I have to make sure to prioritize strangers, which are children, around me, because if I prioritize myself, it's seen as a problem in the community now.
I feel like we've had this conversation before where you did something that was just for kids. And you
Zoo. San Diego
was
Zoo.
It the zoo?
Yes. I remember. I recall it vividly. It was at the gorilla tank. It was I really wanted to see the gorillas, and then all the kids came through. I was like, all right, guys. Come on. Yeah.
Oh.
And Producer Pat reminded pogo sticks as well. Yeah, I live a lifestyle that doesn't it's not conducive to being a solo single man in your 30s.
Kirk at Chuck E. Cheese by himself.
Yeah, It's like I'm at shops trying to get some yo-yos, trying to get some kazoos. And
Yo, that's
these kids are ruining me.
so good, man. We have a lot to talk about today, man.
We do. We have some topics. It's been about 2-3 weeks, and every time we collect topics prior, I'm always trying to like recall, like, oh, what happened in the last 2 weeks or so. But for some reason, it's always like, I don't know if this happens to you. Like, I have a hard time recalling what happened in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if it's because so much has happened.
I think it's a lot that's going on. You know what I mean? Like, if you like, I think I use this time when we get together and discuss to literally flesh out my thoughts about things that's been going on. Like, I really use this podcast, this platform, like, to gather my thoughts, because it is always a lot going on. Like, I'm always trying to like get out jokes and trying to be funny online and trying to, but like I literally use this to talk through and think through some things that be going on. Like, sometimes I don't really know how I feel about it until I sit down and I talk about it.
I can't believe people are paying $40 to $80 copay for therapy. It's like, yo, get a friend and record a podcast. I don't understand why people are doing this. But I agree. I'm the same in that way of I'm not so much of like the posting online. Like, I think I do more so just like notebook or whatever. But in terms of like processing it for things that are like relevant topics, this is like the platform that. So shout out to Proper Ebonics on that one. Shout out to Proper Ebonics.
First thing that I want to tackle, I think it's been the thing that happened the farthest time away, is Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels passed away. You know what I mean? Rest in peace. You know what I mean? To Kevin Samuels. That was a big back and forth in the Black community.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I guess I didn't even think about it, because I don't think about Kevin Samuels really, because his platform, what he promotes and stuff like that. But I realized like that's literally just like a Black issue. Like I didn't realize that like mainstream didn't really know who Kevin Samuels was. I had no idea. Like, the day he passed, people were like thinking it was a hoax and stuff like that, and they were like, and there were people like looking on TMZ and looking on website stuff, and I realized I was like, oh, they don't even know who he is. Like,
right.
Why would they post him? You know what I mean?
Is it fair to say Kevin Samuels, the Joe Rogan for Black people? Well, Joe Rogan's also Joe Rogan for Black people, but in terms of like, in terms of it being a strictly online presence, well, now I'm making a comparison. I'm realizing they don't really compare so much, but Kevin Samuels is very much that YouTuber who made these videos that he spoke on relationships, mainly relationships, and a lot of it was targeted towards women and women behavior. A lot of women would call in, a lot of dudes would call in, but it was, from what I did see, because I have seen a little bit of his work, a lot of it was centered on women behavior and high standards, and how men can navigate around that, which in itself is that's fine. Now, I know you mentioned you're not as familiar with his work. Have you heard, though, like in terms of like what people attach to him?
I have never, ever tuned in or went to watch anything of Kevin Samuels. I've only seen what's come across my timeline.
Right.
I've seen enough to know that's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's very, from what it's red pilly, that term where it's kind of, I don't want to like sum up the whatever that movement is, because I don't know fully about it, but I know the kind of some of the traits, again, from just seeing timeline. From the stuff that I did see, it was kind of, it leaned towards one direction that seemed like it was a little bit on the misogynistic side. I'm sure there's facets of the things that he did talk about that were more than that. I think the stuff that we do see on our timeline and stuff that we see on the news are like the highlights and very polarizing talking points. But you know me, man. I'm never one to like celebrate someone's death like that. Especially, he was young. I think it was like a heart situation. So ultimately, he was a dude that made a living for himself.
Look, this is the thing. I disagree. Like I said, I disagree with what he was talking about. I definitely don't wish death on anyone. Like, that's just a weird thing as someone living to wish on someone. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I don't want to wish death on you, because I don't want death on myself, because I believe in karma. And that's just that's just nasty to me. Like, I don't think that that's cool. Like, you could wish that someone would not do the things they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, if he was killing people, okay. But you know what I mean? But like,
not wishing death. That's why I wish steaks on everyone, because I want steaks myself. So if I get some steaks, I wish steaks on other people. It goes full circle. So I understand not wanting to wish death on someone like that. I have seen people celebrating death, though. I have seen that. That's a big one. I think Vivica A. Fox came up with a video stating that he something about knocking on death's door. I didn't click the video, but I see a lot of people kind of imposing the idea of like Christianity and like things like spirituality, like karma, or that this is what you get in just religious terms and just spiritual terms, and it just seems kind of counterintuitive. It seems like, oh, you maybe didn't like what this person was doing, and now you're imposing this grand mystic steam. I just realized I messed those two words, like mystic steam. I am like a
sexy sauna.
Yeah. Oh goodness, make sure it's up. It's yeah, but I'm seeing a lot of people do that though. Wishing not only death but celebrating his death. I did see, I believe from your page actually, someone got a tattoo of Kevin Samuels on their, was it their thigh?
It was like the back of their calf.
Oh boy.
It's just like, and I said it on the video. It was like, that's the worst tattoo I've ever seen. And I got my own name tattooed on me.
I went on that yesterday because I was kind of like looking through topics. And sometimes when I look through topics, I just go on your page. I'm like, oh, Alan probably talked about some stuff that happened. And I was cracking up at the comment section. Like, how many people were like, it was like how many people were like, you didn't realize were like fans of his, and then, like, afterwards you're like, oh, you too. Oh, that I got a laugh out of that one. That was funny.
Yo, I had no idea. Like, I know he has a lot of supporters, but I didn't know how many of my followers were also supporters of his. This is like,
bro, there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of dudes, and I'm not even necessarily saying this is like a bad thing. When it comes to like being like, if you're being like a dick about it, then yeah, don't do that as much. But there's a lot of dudes that subscribe to those sort of channels, whether it be like the Red Pill channels or someone like Kevin Samuels. They find it to be kind of empowering. Would we say is that a characteristic of what people deem as like was it masculine toxicity or toxic masculinity?
Masculine toxicity. That's the name of this podcast.
Oh goodness.
Would you call it masculine toxicity?
Masculine toxicity. Oh good. You know, man, I woke up early, took some action, went for a jog, did some push-ups, made eggs and bacon. I was like, you know, my brain's gonna be fully ready by the time 11 o'clock comes around. Sometimes that doesn't happen though.
That's so good.
But in terms of like toxic masculinity, that's the term that people use for it, and it is a real thing. Is it a product of that, or is it maybe both? A product of a lot of dudes feel that they don't have necessarily like a coach or like a dad, someone that could articulate their thoughts that they may be having, but they don't know how to express it.
I think you're spot on with that. You're spot on with that. There's no way.
So too. I do feel so. Yes.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was thinking about this too. There's no way someone has, unless the person in their ear is speaking like Kevin Samuels. There's no way that you can have someone in your ear saying one thing who you look up to, whether it's a father figure, grandfather, uncle, someone, and then Kevin Samuels comes and starts saying the opposite, and you're like, oh, I want to hear what he is saying, which means you either don't have someone telling you the right thing in your ear, or you have someone in your ear telling you the exact same thing as Kevin Samuels, which means I don't think you have the right elders in your life. Like, they're telling you, look, how do I explain this? I've vocalized this plenty of times. I have been a toxic masculine male. I have been misogynist. I mean, I grew up in the 90s with like, just, well, we know how we were, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
but just the thing, I know better now, so I do better. You know what I mean? I know where I went wrong a lot in my life, and so the whole Kevin Samuels thing, right? This reminds me of, you ever see, I forget who made the joke about, there's always like these in these magazines, it's like 100 things men like but the author is a woman,
Yeah, Cosmopolitan. Yeah.
right? And women flock to that. This is the exact opposite of that.
Mm.
You got a man saying all these things about women, and other men like, oh, I'm gonna listen, instead of listening to the women. Like, listen to the women, my man. Like,
Yeah, it's tapping into a level of insecurity, I find, um, for that one, especially when for some of the calls I have heard. I feel like there was a point where he was on my time, like my YouTube timeline for a while, because I'd like his videos would pop up. Same with like Candace Owens, which I don't know what YouTube's trying to tell me, but it would pop up and I would be able to see some of the work from there. And it seemed like a lot of it is kind of getting an idea of, it's reinforcing a lot of ideas of women and kind of like putting some new ones out there of like I saw a lot where it was like kind of almost setting a trap for women of like oh well, you know, set these things that you want, sort of thing. Like, do you want a man that has a job? Do you want a man that is making a certain amount? Do you want a man that has his own place? And then it'd be like, all right, well, what do you have? And one would be like, well, I have 2 kids. One of them is in school. Then Kevin Samuels be like, then why the hell do you expect that? And it's like, damn, you just dissed the hell out of that woman that called.
but this is my thing. That's not right. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So you have to look at it like this, right? If I know plenty of women that have said, I don't have kids, so I don't want to date someone with kids, right? But if Chris Brown, Barack Obama comes up to them who has kids, and they're like, so what's going on? And they're like, oh, sorry, you have no. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just sometimes.
Why do you use those 2 people?
Because those are 2 of the black men that a lot of black women won't turn down.
Those were 2. You could have gone Morris Chestnut, but you went Chris Brown and Barack Obama?
I'm gonna go Chris Brown for the people that want that sexy young dancer, and I'm gonna go with Barack, who is the exact opposite. He's the older, the more articulate. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the you know, the straight line. He's gonna get things done, you know. So like, that's
Barack is proper, Chris Brown is Ebonics.
Boom. You know what I'm saying? So but the reason I said these 2 though, because I made a joke like this before. Like, I had made a joke about like women say, I don't want a man with kids, but like Chris Brown got kids, you're not gonna turn him down if he comes up to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like those whole things about like a woman with kids don't. This is what Kevin Samuels would say. A woman with kids don't deserve a man that doesn't have kids. Like, so like, it's just like, huh? Like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a lot of those. I will say it's not something I subscribe to. And I realize as I'm giving examples, I'm like defending of like, people, please listen. I didn't listen to it, but the stuff that I did hear, I'll dare to say there are things that I did agree with. There were a few things. I don't remember exact examples, but it's interesting when you get polarizing people, because it's very much like you're swayed to like have like, this is my take on this person without really seeing the person as a whole. He probably had some opinions on hip hop that I probably agree with too. But as a whole, well, I didn't really know the dude or anything like that. He did have a particular disposition that people either resonated with very much so, or did not resonate with very much so, or just people that are in between that kind of just left it be.
Yeah, I like I said, man, I didn't really talk about him. I didn't watch him. I didn't follow him because I already know there's a lot of people that like him. There's even more people that didn't. You know what I'm saying? So listen, man, rest in peace to the guy. I don't wish death on anyone. I just don't agree with breaking down black people. So when I see if I see you like diminishing a black woman for whatever reason, it's just not it's not the channel I want to watch. You know what I'm saying? So I just didn't support that kind of stuff. So I don't think that we should be wishing death on anyone, especially for someone and their view. Like, it wasn't like he was out here beating up people, murdering, raping people. You know what I mean? So it's like, wishing death is kind of extreme, but like, that's what I think about that.
I don't wish death. I also don't wish tattoos. There's 2 sides to it. So I think we could find a medium for the people to maybe chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
But rest in peace to Saint Samuels.
Yeah. Saint? No, you say Saint. I'm over here like I was reading something. I was reading the topics. I heard Saint. I'm like, yeah, no. Saint Samuel.
You heard it here first and forever. Saint Samuels. I am curious because there are some other things going on in the news. One that I know very little about, but I'm curious about it. So I think it's Young Thug. Young Thug, and is it the record label YSL? Is it a record label?
Yeah, man, record label YSL, man. They got Young Thug and Gunna. They got hit with the Rico. You know what I'm saying?
So I saw that. So Rico, from my understanding, is a pretty elaborate investigation that has to do with whether guns, drugs, all that stuff. But it's like they were really putting in work to get these people. I think it was like 28 defendants total.
Yeah, it's like 28 people, over 50 different charges stemming from murder to coercing witnesses, to drugs, to just the whole gamut. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
were they also charged for killing that beat? I didn't look at the news report yet. I didn't know if that was a part of it.
Did you see the cops and they were trying to listen to their lyrics to figure out evidence?
I'm sure that didn't help. I'm sure it didn't help.
They were like, oh, okay, I like this. Oh.
And then writing it down.
No, but yeah, man, it's serious, man. This irritates. Like, this story bothers me so much, yo. Because I hate to see Black men, fathers going to jail. And the RICO Act is racketeering, organized crime, conspiracy, those kind of situations where they make it a group.
It's a very serious thing. Yeah. Like I hear it's very hard to get out of too, because they can kind of combine everything together.
When they charge you with RICO, they pretty much have everything they want. You know what I mean? It's like so in order to get this kind of case, they probably have someone talking. They have a snitch somewhere in order to connect so many dots. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened. And when I heard them say they got 28 people were arrested, I was like, oh yeah, people are snitching, because I know I don't have 28 close people that I can trust. Like, there's no way 27 people who you can trust. Nah.
Damn, that would be wild. It's probably one of those things too where, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of just speaking out of terms here, but I imagine if there is an informant, maybe one of the things is that they arrest one of the informants so they could protect the informant, and then the informant is then later released. I know very little about how cops and law enforcement works. I've seen Goodfellas 5 times. So that's kind of what I'm going off on that one. So Young Thug, I know Young Thug. I know features from Young Thug. But I can't say I know a song from Young Thug. I know he's been around for a while though. I want to say like almost a decade.
Yeah. Young Thug got a lot of songs. He got He got Digits. He got No Cat.
Does he do the one with like 2 phones? I got 2 phones. Ring. Okay. Cool. I thought you said Kevin Samuels. I was like, what?
Oh my gosh. You just mixed up Kevin Gates, Kevin Samuels, Kirk Griffiths is a part of YSL. Lock him up, okay?
Careful. There's a reason I'm out here on these streets. I had to spread the word to my homies. Broke my heart. We got.
This one of the things that blew my mind, yo, when I heard it. They said they got them on the hook for 50 murders.
Oh, geez.
Check. This is the part that blew my mind. They said they got them for a murder, was either in 2013 and 2015. And they just continue to watch them. Like, at what point were you like, okay, that's enough killing? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like,
I wonder why they chose to do the RICO situation with them. I guess the other charges were that strong where it's like we could really build a case and get a lot of people instead of just pulling the trigger on one murder case.
That kind of seems, that's wild to me, because you're sacrificing people now. If you know if you think someone's killing people and you have evidence, why would you allow them to kill 49 more people? You know what I mean?
I wonder if I don't know about any like their guilt or whatever, thing like that. but for the people that are committing these, I wonder how they see it in the long run. Like after they get caught, it's like, oh wow, they let me get away with it for another 6 years. That's kind of cool. That's like that's kind of a benefit. They didn't really have to do that.
Yeah. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for. I need to get that last guy. I appreciate it. No, I thought that was kind of crazy. But then I seen that the DA is a black woman, and I was like, oh, it makes sense. Like they gonna hold that evidence against you until they really got you. You know what I mean? Like it's a black woman trait for you right there. They not listen. You ain't getting away with nothing. They're gonna watch you, and they know you've been cheating for 7 years. But until they catch that chick at your crib, they ain't gonna say nothing. You know.
That's an interesting take, Mr. Kevin Samuels. It's back to back. Yeah, I did see that it was a black woman. I did see when a reporter asked her, like, "Hey, how comes Jack Harlow isn't being investigated?" And she had a look on her face like, "What?" Yeah, we're talking about 50 murders. Why are you bringing up what's popping? And I kept seeing his name brought up, Jack Harlow. I was like, what is Jack Harlow involved in this? Like,
yeah. Okay, so let me tell you what's going on with Jack Harlow. Jack Harlow is not involved in this, but Jack Harlow has been getting backlash from Black Twitter recently because they think he's trash. They think that Jack Harlow's trash, and they feel like he only got to where he's at because, of course, he's white, right? And then this video came out. I don't even know where it came from. It was like some black ladies talking about how they don't feel protected in America. The only person that they feel protected by in the music industry is Jack Harlow. And everybody was like, what? Now Jack Harlow is the sign for protecting black women? It's just like, what is happening right now? And so like all this stuff was happening like last 2 or 3 days. And like, I'm pretty sure like the guy, the reporter that asked about Jack Harlow had like, he knew what was going on Twitter. It was just being a jerk. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know that guy that's been annoying us? You gonna arrest him too? Yeah, it probably came from like his album came out last week, Harlow. I did see.
Ooh.
What's up?
Real quick too. He did an interview with Hot 97 where they played the game, and they were like playing songs. They had to guess the artist, and they played a Brandy song.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't know who Brandy was.
Right. He didn't know that. He knew who Ray J was, but didn't know that that was his sister. Yeah. He's young. He's like, what, 22 or something like that?
He's 24, but that's not an excuse to me because when I was 24, I could sing the whole Temptations Greatest Hits album. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not an excuse for me. You're a musician in the culture. You should know who Brandy is.
I guess.
I know who Dolly Parton is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's true. If you find yourself like at the Kentucky Derby, that you're in that culture, you probably should know who Dolly Parton is. For me, it's funny. I was talking to someone about this. Like, Harlow is like a pop rapper. He's pretty much like Drake, and I don't mean that in a bad way. He's like that's what he does. He's a rapper that makes. I think he's a good rapper too. I think like has lyrical moments. His last album. Listen to it. It's not like my number one like go-to, but there's some good songs up there. Like I think people kind of look for excuses to knock people down regardless of what side of like the culture they're on or whatever. Has he done anything that's been actually like offensive, or has he said anything crazy or disrespectful towards black people?
No, not that I know of. But I think it was the Brandy thing, his album dropping, and that clip about he protects black women. It was just like a culmination of things that got like people. But I'm gonna be honest with you. He's cool, but like he ain't like dope. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I hear his bars and I'm like, ooh, snap! Like, yeah, like you said, it's pop rap. Like. And that's how I feel about Drake too. Like Drake have bars. Drake be having bars. I'd be like, oh, that was cool. He does do that, but it's not like I'm not like tuning in like, oh, here we go. This is about to be the hardest bars. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's. I mean, as someone I feel like I probably listen more Harlow than you at this point. I feel they're very much the same because I feel like Harlow has lines like that too, where it's like, oh, all right, that was pretty cool. He has cool levels of introspection, which I think are cool. He had a line. It was something along the lines of like, everyone used to be a fan, fanned out, but then everyone started liking me, and you became a hater. I guess that's the only way to stand out when the world loves you. I botched the line completely, but like I think that was a cool line, and he has a few lines like that. I do see people. He's starting to get a little bit of the Macklemore treatment in terms of. Well, one, we're going to talk about Kendrick's album in a little bit, but Kendrick's album came out, and people are instantly kind of comparing the two, and kind of just like the idea of like, well, this is what real hip hop is,
Yeah.
And I was thinking the idea of like, remember when Macklemore won the Grammy over Kendrick, and that was kind of like I don't know if downfall is the appropriate word, but he lost a lot of his fan base. And kind of his position in hip hop because he did win that. So if the two are nominated, if Jack Harlow and Kendrick are nominated, I think Jack Harlow, just don't show up to the event. Don't show up to the event, because if you win, they're going to be out for you.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is an unpopular opinion. I'm not saying he should have won, but that Macklemore album was really good.
Really? See, I loved it. I
thought it was. Listen, I don't think he should have won, but it was really good.
I'm surprised to hear you say this. I didn't know you were a fan of this.
I'm not Macklemore's cool with me. Like, I watched enough interviews, and I know a lot more about Macklemore than I do about Jack Harlow. Like, Macklemore really been in the culture, you know what I'm saying, for a while.
Yeah. This subject matters. Like that whole album, The Heist, there's such versatility. I once got in a 3-hour argument over this. I won't rehash the whole thing, but like he talks about like substance abuse, the idea of being signed to a record label, but feeling that he's not actually being protected by the record label. Like he had a good variety and some cool bars, but people hated that album. I disagreed.
It was not better than Good Kid, Mad City. I have to say that. Good Kid, Mad City. You literally could put that album on from start to finish, and it tells you a story with skits. The bars are hard. The beats are fire. It's a really good album. The Heist was not better than it, but The Heist was good. Like, yeah. That's what I felt bad for Macklemore, because he came out at a bad year. He came out the year before or after, he might have a different career. But I don't think Jack Harlow's going to have this problem.
Same. Yeah. I think people are trying to kind of gear him up towards that. And producer Pat, I see you mentioned that if The Heist was the one where Macklemore had the album about gay rights, that is true. That was the same album. Yeah, I don't think Jack Harlow is really gonna have to worry about that too much. I just see a lot of people positioning him to that. My friend just sent me in this 1 week alone, Pitchfork has created 2 articles just bashing his new album. Where
Jack Harlow's album?
Yeah, they wouldn't dare do it for Kendrick's. But they did it back to back with Harlow, and it's just like, all right, if you don't like it, fine, whatever. It's kind of pretentious how they did it, but to do it back to back, it's kind of, for me, it's sending me messages of like, hey, we don't like that this white mainstream rapper is getting attention when someone like a Kendrick is out there. To me, that's what that kind of comes across as.
Jack Harlow, Macklemore. Macklemore is a better rapper than Jack Harlow. Okay, I feel like
you felt this strongly about Macklemore.
I'm not a Macklemore hater. I know that Macklemore is talented. I understand it. I know I may come across as a Macklemore hater.
No, you're a Macklemore fan. It's clear you love Macklemore.
I like Macklemore's cool. I like him better than Jack Harlow. But look, this is what I'm trying to say. The Jack Harlow thing, I don't want to bash this black man, but
wait, who? Harlow?
I'm just kidding.
For a second, I was like, huh. The curly hair, I guess, yeah, maybe.
I'm just kidding. But look, this one of the bars that he said, right? One of the songs, the song he got with Drake. I listened to that song. I was like, Drake's on the song. I listened to it.
Yeah.
Drake murdered it, right? This is one of the lines that Jack Harlow said. He said, "At the shows, I'm going to start handing out programs because y'all need to get with the program."
I like that. I missed that bar. That went over my head the first time.
It didn't go over your head because that's a terrible bar.
I like when they use the same word. There's a name for that sort of like that rhyme, but like program, because y'all not getting with the program. Probably sounded cool over the beat too. I gotta say I endorse it. The line that I was paraphrasing is from that exact same verse, the one with Drake. I think it's like something down hills or church down hills or something like that. Yeah. I think this one was.
Look. You pause for a second. You see what you just did? You just said, yeah, well, that right there. Yeah, well, that's how you know it's not hot.
Oh, well, I would say the pause in that was less so about the commentary on Harlow's album. I don't think it's like crazy hot or anything like that. It's it has some cool songs on there. It's more so about the kind of disposition that people are putting him in, which who knows? We'll see how it all plays out. And it is interesting to kind of go into a week forward and hear Kendrick's new release and kind of how people have been taking that in. First off, have you given us a listen yet? I don't want to spoil anything.
Man. Yeah, man. I listened to it that day. I think I'm gonna listen to it 2 or 3 times since then. Yeah, I have listened to it.
Yeah, so Mr. Morale and the World Steppers.
Is it the Big Steppers?
Is it the Big Steppers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad.
The big
yeah, no, it was announced. He came out with the video using the deep fakes, which was really cool, and it wasn't even on the album, which was cool. I like that. It's like, oh, here's just a single. I don't even need it, but here's, and already racked up like 22 million or whatever. So I listened to it as well, and I'm probably on like the 3rd or 4th listen by this Sunday. I enjoyed it. This is one of the few albums that I find people are very conscious of the idea of wanting it to soak in before giving an opinion on it. Yeah. Like I feel like almost everyone that I've spoken to about it, like their initial reaction is like, I don't want to judge this off my initial reaction. Yeah. Like it's almost like a hesitancy to be like, yeah, it's good, or yeah, I'm not too sure about it. People are very conscious about it, which is kind of a cool thing. But at this point, I feel okay about reviewing it. And also upon my first listen too, there's a lot of stuff on there that kind of blew me away, man. Yeah, there's some cool songs on there, and it's not like necessarily like club bangers, which I'm fine with, sort of thing. But like as someone that's not like the number one like Kendrick fan, there is some stuff on there like it grabbed my attention. I wasn't even in the mood to listen to it when I first started, and I was like, oh, this is good. It was a quality album.
Yeah, I was one of the people that wanted to sit with it before I gave an opinion on it. I love Kendrick. I love Kendrick for a long time. I love Kendrick's albums. I feel like he puts albums together that you can listen to, that have like his albums are like movies. You know what I mean? It's not just like a club song here and then a love song here and then 2 features on this song. And just like it's making a story, it's making sense. That's why I always love Kendrick's album. I listened to this one, and my first initial reaction was like, oh, he don't have no bangers that are like, this is my jam. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, like no club. He don't have that. That's one of my first takeaways, right? After my first listen, I was like, okay, he ain't had none of those. That's cool. I was driving. This was the first time I was driving, so I might have not been in tune like I should have been. Second time I listened to it, it's nighttime. I was on my little balcony, had my headphones in. You know, I'm doing my little thing, just chilling.
Doing your little dance. I assume that's your little thing. You're doing a little dance.
Listening to it, and I was sitting there, and I was like, "It's a really good album. It's a really good album, man." I feel like I was digging the sound of the album, like the aesthetic, not the aesthetic, but the sound. It's so clean. It's so groovy. You know what I mean? Like
drums kicking off. I think the first song, it was like I grieve different, of just like how like the African drums kicking like towards the third portion of it, like I'm not gonna replicate it right here, but like there are examples like that on there, a few different ones where like sonically it was like, oh man, this feels monumental.
If that's the good word, feel. It feels really good. Like even when you're listening to the song where he's like arguing with the woman on the song,
we cry together.
They cursing that they that gives me like Kim Eminem vibes.
I
You know what I'm
know
saying?
that's my first thought with that one too. At first, I actually thought it was him rapping, like the woman's verse. I was like, oh, they must have done something with his voice, almost like Kim.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's funny. I'm sure we're not the first ones to think of that, but it seemed like almost a direct influence.
yeah, for sure. But that, like, even when the song has that kind of like negative lyrics, I guess it still sounds like it sounds good. Like they curse it back and forth, and I'm like, pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's like a profoundness level to it too. I find of like it's not just saying it for the sake of saying it, and there's some like really harsh things that they say to one another too, and it makes it a very real conversation in a way. And the fact that it's all rhyming is pretty impressive. I don't recall the feature on that album, the on that record, We Cry Together, but she was phenomenal. Like the way she did with her voice and cadence, that was cool. I would actually like to check for more of her stuff.
It's We Cry Together. It's Taylor Page.
I thought you were gonna say the Brat, but I don't know, that's cool too. Taylor Page, I might check out Taylor Page because that was really cool. Auntie's Diaries, that was a cool one. That like I think
that one got a lot of backlash.
Really?
Yeah, he dropped too many F-bombs. And he kept misgendering his uncle.
Oh, it's funny. So, because he did a bunch of F-bombs. However, he mentioned it. He talks about it, and that's kind of like not the whole purpose of the song, but like bringing up the idea of like when he brought the fan on stage and she was saying the N-word, and then the idea that he was taught that words are just words and you should be able to say it. But if you agree with that, then don't get mad when a white fan says the N-word sort of thing. So he was having commentary on it. It wasn't just a matter of just saying it for the sake of saying it. I felt at least.
Nope. Can't say it. Can't say it.
Mm.
If you not that, you can't say it, bro. Right. I don't want to. Like, I look at that word the same way I look at the N-word. If a white person says to me, "Well, I'm just doing this," I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear you just using it to do commentary or get your point across. Man, don't use it.
Yeah.
Say N-word. Just say N-word. Don't use the actual word.
Yeah, like, that's visceral. I don't like hearing it from non-black people, mainly white people. I don't like hearing the N-word. It's one of those things where like even logically, if it's like, oh, you're giving context to something, I don't like it. It puts me in a weird mood. I can't say as someone that's not in that community, therefore didn't really have that much of an impact, but it's just something just from growing up with my brother, just like, oh, okay, well, let me just not say that then. I mean, this hurts people. So yeah, I thought he was giving commentary on it.
Do you see how you said that when white people say the N-word, how it makes you feel?
Right. And it probably is very similar for them. Yeah, that's the thing. So that's something where maybe I just don't have as much practice empathy in that way. But I recognize that it's something, and yeah, I guess if people feel that way, that would make some sense.
Yeah, he shouldn't say it. If you're not in the community, you just shouldn't say it. There's really no justification for it, because I just look at that word how I look if someone white said nigga. Like I just kind of like, oh, I understand, because I don't want to hear. I couldn't imagine a Jack Harlow song, and he's like, my run-in with the word nigga, nigga, nigga. Like, you're gonna be like, oh, he's just giving conversation. Like, no.
I don't even know if I would necessarily be upset. I would be in shock. I think I'd go through a stage of, this is hilarious. I'd be like, we need to lock Jack Harlow up. Get that reporter back.
Jack Harlow is part of YSL.
Yeah, I think that's maybe justified commentary on it. And just from my experience of listening to the album, I didn't go through, that wasn't a thought process for me, but I could definitely see how that would be a thing. The song in itself, I thought, was pretty cool, of just like talking about, because that's not something he's naturally like rapped about before, about like having an uncle that transitioned into being his aunt, and how that was just a regular thing for him. And just even like small nuanced things of like her picking him up after school. I just thought it was a cool kind of love song to a family member.
Him picking him up.
What do you mean?
You said her picking him up from school. Wait, so it is her.
Yeah, because like
Okay.
his uncle transitioned into his aunt.
You're right.
That's
You're right. I got confused because, like I said, he was because during the song he kept saying him, her, him, her.
it
It's just
sounds
like,
like you
oh,
were being like super anti-trans. Like actually, it's him.
he
Get it
was
right.
born a man, so he is a man.
Oh goodness, Pat, if we could edit that out,
No, no, no,
for Alan's sake, we could edit that out.
no, no, no.
I'm joking.
People know I made a mistake. Keep it in. People know.
uh,
Yeah, but he kept doing that throughout the song. Like, and me, I think I was listening to the song. I was just like, okay, he's talking about the aunt. Okay, but then I seen it online. People were like, how you going to like give credence to what's going on in your life and then keep misgendering this person throughout the whole song? Kept saying him, 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 him,
did
him.
he?
When he said he already told us that that's now his aunt.
Oh, okay. So maybe I got to re-listen. I didn't know there was a lot of misgendering going on. Because from my recollection, it was a lot of like her, and like maybe was like towards the beginning of the song where he was saying him,
Listen,
and later he did it to her.
listen, he going back and forth, him, her, because after I read the critique online, I went back and listened. I was like, oh, he is. He keep going back and forth.
Huh. I'd be interesting to hear from him on that. By him, I mean Kendrick. Of like that, who knows? That could have been a purposeful matter of even just like saying F word and all that stuff, which not necessarily right, but maybe it was a purposeful thing of like this is a reflection of my relationship with my aunt who I had known since I was a kid, and whether before transition, after transition. So yeah, I'd be curious to hear. That's every time I hear like large scale criticisms, I'm always more curious to hear from the person than the people giving the like when it not necessarily like I disregard all critics. That's not true. Shout to Roger Ebert. But I'm always curious of like, oh, what did it mean for them as the person that created it? They created this thing that is becoming a talking point where other people can talk about it, but they're the ones that spawned it. So I'd be curious to hear what he, being Kendrick, actually like. What was his purpose behind that?
I know he dropped the F bombs on purpose. Like that was on purpose to get talk around it. It had to be like that's evident to me because it wasn't like an accident. You know what I mean? Like he put
Yeah,
those in there on purpose to draw a conversation, most likely. You know what I mean? To
that's an
try to
interesting
get the
thing
point
too. Of
across.
like, it's cool. In my opinion, it's cool that something like the F bomb like that is I don't want to say gaining uh uh meaningfulness is not the right word for it, but impact, and it's being recognized throughout all communities of like, oh, this is something that hurts people. Because growing up, that was not the case. Even teen years and early 20s, that wasn't fully the case. Like you saw it kind of gradually more and more, but now it's to the point where it's like, oh yeah, it's on a major hip hop album where a lot of times people just disregard whatever people are saying on rap albums, and we're now looking at it like, oh no, we this is a reflection of social norms and commentary, so we're going to criticize you for it. So I think it's kind of cool in the sense of like progress for that, depending on what you deem progress.
Yeah. Another thing that he caught flack on the album for some reason he had Kodak Black like half narrating it, like half featured
I
or like
thought that was so cool. I thought that was so cool.
ah,
What do you think of it? Also,
ah,
I don't know what Kodak Black, did he do something mysterious or bad? I don't know what his situation is.
Kodak Black's been so problematic for so many years now.
Oh
I
yeah.
just like I just wish Kendrick chose someone else or like
Oh,
like is it
Young Thug was busy.
the Young Thug have been perfect. Um, you know, I don't know, man. Like, so Kodak is a Trump supporter because
Oh, that's right. He did do that. Yeah.
Trump got him out of jail. Kodak pled guilty to a rape charge for
Okay.
a minor. Um,
Yes.
he just been like super trash for a while, you know. Like he beat up, I think he beat up some chick. I think like he just been super. So it's like, I don't know, but for me, I just wish it wasn't Kodak on there. Like anybody, you could have picked any other rapper to get your point across. People were saying like he put Kodak on the songs and had him talking because the whole point of the album is to have empathy and forgiveness. And I was just like, I that'd be like me bringing out Bill Cosby, like, hey guys, you gotta have empathy. Like, nah, I'm just not going to like, you know what I mean? Like, I just ain't bringing him out.
For those listening, tune in next week for our very special guest. Yeah, I mean that was a big part of the album, like and you mentioned it in the video too. We're all one, and we're all within us. So that could have had a meaning behind it. Again, I think, not to say that anyone's above criticism. I think Kendrick, he's purposeful with these moves, and he recognized the impact that he has, and he recognizes that people are going to really pay attention to the stuff that he does. I imagine there's some artistic reason behind it, whether that be a good or bad thing. I didn't. Again, this is me being ignorant. I didn't fully register like, oh yeah, Kodak Black did a bunch of terrible things. I knew, I guess he was like a Trump supporter. I didn't know about him with the minors. Like, Jesus, that's kind of wild. But in terms of like from what just hearing of someone not knowing those things, I thought it was cool, the idea of having someone that's not really like a lyrical rapper. Like you don't think like Kendrick and Kodak Black. It's almost like having Jizza and Soulja Boy. Not
Kodak
exactly
Black,
the same, but
Kodak Black, because people don't understand what he's saying, because he talks with that Florida, you know what I'm saying, accent. Kodak Black got bars.
You know,
like,
he
got bars. He listen to me, Kirk. I know for a fact. I know that you haven't listened to his albums.
I've listened to not full albums because I don't enjoy it as much. But
that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, Kodak got bars. Kodak, you just got to get past his twang here to and hear it. Like he not like Soulja Boy. Like I'm telling you, like, so Kodak was the perfect person for Kendrick to put his point across, whatever it is, because Kodak got bars. He could, hey, he can't hang with Kendrick, but he didn't get like washed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe I gotta give it a second listen. I've heard stuff from Kodak, and there's been things where like, oh wow, that was pretty deep. But I guess there's a bias. I always kind of just consider him to be in the group of kind of like mumble-ish rappers, and that could be due to the accent.
That's it. He's just young with an accent. Like, I have listened to Kodak's album before. What name was that album? What album was that? He be rapping, and I want to find it real quick. Oh, here it is. It's Dying to Live is the album I listen to. Like, I used to listen to all the time. It's like
rappers love talking about dying. They love it.
What year was this? This was 2018. He came out, so this is 4 years ago. His album came out, and that was the one. I was like, oh, he got bars. Like, I didn't even know. I just put it on because he was. But I was like, oh, he can rap. I didn't know that. I just thought it was some mumble. But he been through a lot. Like, I don't agree with pretty much anything he does. But that on that album 4 years ago, I was like, oh, he actually is a rapper. I didn't even understand that. So I get why Kendrick would put him on the album for the empathy purposes and because he can rap.
Yeah,
I just don't agree. I just don't agree with him being on the album. I wish he wasn't on the album because it's super problematic.
It would have been wild of like, yeah, because I'm sure Kendrick, I'm sure he's aware of like, oh, this is the perception of Kodak Black. So again, I'm sure there's purpose behind it. I guess it really depends on where is the line, if there is one, even when it comes to having people that are deemed like problematic. Like if you did have like Cosby on an interlude, like, all right, well, what's the message behind this sort of thing? Versus having Kodak Black do kind of like the intro to a song.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Kendrick, man. He puts a lot in there. A lot of it for people to kind of soak in and digest through the week. I'm definitely gonna listen to some more. So yeah, thanks, Kendrick. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for following up with this, Kendrick, 5 years later.
Oh man, yeah, I was about to get in some segments, but I'm curious about this one and your take on it as well with follow-ups. It's nice being able to talk about what's been going on in the world and all that, but we want to get into some commentary when it comes to dating, comedy, and whatever aspect of life you may follow. Follow-ups, following up with people, the importance of being able to follow up with people, whether that be you were booked on a show and you follow up with the booker afterwards, whether that be you go on a first date with a honey dip and it was a good situation and following up with that honey Dijon afterward, How important is it to follow up in a timely manner, if important at all?
Very, 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 very important.
Hmm.
You got to follow up. I mean, like I was, so I was in sales 10 years, from retail, telemarketing, all the way up to corporate sales. I've done it all. Like I've always been in sales, so I'm good at sales, and I learned that following up is just as important as reaching out, if not more important, because a lot of times people forget about you. You're just one. So like I sold produce at one company, right? And my boss used to always tell me, like, you're selling to a kitchen, and produce is just a small part of what they order. They also order meat, they also order dairy, they also order bread. So you got to stay top of mind if you're not even so. And there's also other produce companies. So I just can't send one message, one email, and be like, I just did my prospecting for the day. I'm done. Like, no, I got to I set myself a timer. I'd be like, 2 weeks, follow up with this chef. Because, like I said, he got all this other stuff going on. I'm not even his main provider. He's getting produce from somewhere else. I got to stay top of mind. You know what I'm saying? So, and you never know what people are going through. Sometimes people be like, oh, man, thanks for following up. I was going to reach out to you, but I forgot. You know what I'm saying? So it may not be like they don't want to work with you or they don't want to date you. They got stuff going on. People got lives. So you got to do what you got to do. Go get what you want. And if that's followed up 2, maybe 3 times, then that's what you got to do. I think it's very important in all aspects of life, following up, man.
I think it's a good way to phrase it, of like, sometimes it's more important than the actual like initial outreach. In a lot of ways, like it kind of shows a different level of effort when it's like, okay, well, maybe you had that initial contact, but how do you follow up that rapport? It's almost like the logic of like, oh yeah, you made it here, but now you got to stay here, sort of thing. You hear that a lot with like NFL or UFC sort of thing. And a lot of times the follow up can be more important. It also may be a bit more difficult, especially if you're going through a very apathetic Saturday. Follow ups can be, oh my goodness. I'm doing that right now with the show that I'm doing, the Out of Towners in Bethlehem, which my goal is to have this be a raging success, which is like, especially one kind of like, not even, I guess, co-producing or producing at this point, where it's like, I really want it to be like a good thing. People show up, have comics from different parts of the regions, be exposed to Lehigh Valley, vice versa, and all that. And I'm finding that I'm able to do follow-ups, but then there's that part of me, and I don't know how many people on here can listen or can relate. I know you produce a lot of shows where it almost feels like you reach a limit. It almost feels like you reach a limit of like, this is how much I can do in this amount of day, or this amount for this project. I'm not at that limit for this, but do you ever feel that with follows, whether it be for produce or comedy, where it's like, all right, I can only follow up so much?
Yeah. So like I had one sales trainer, I guess you would call him, a sales coach, right? And he would come in like once a quarter and just like coach us up and teach us things. And he had this one rule of 7, right? And he would say, you should follow up. You should contact someone before they become a client 7 different times. I completely disagreed with that number. I felt like it was like 3 or 4. 7, I felt like was overkill. But in his eyes, like he felt like that was what was needed to get the outcome. You know what I'm saying? Like never have I had a sales coach or a trainer or a manager or anyone tell me like, hey, follow up one time. Or I never had no one say, don't follow up, just reach out once. Like that has never happened in any business. Like we run in a capitalistic world, whatever it's called, I don't know. But like everything's about business, everything's about money. Everybody is following up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Like just pretty much gotta do it. I'm pretty sure I didn't answer your question, but I know that's something that I wanted to say.
Well, that's fine. Nice. Follow-up fatigue.
Right. That's what it was. Yeah. So that's why I started about the rule of 7, following up 7 times. That's too much for me. I couldn't do that. After a certain amount of time, if I'm not getting any love, any feedback, anything, I'm not just blindly reaching out 7 times or maybe less. Like I need something. I need to tell me. Thanks, Alan. I'm busy right now. Follow up. Tell me to follow up. I'll even, you know what I'll do? I'll even ask. So like, say you meet a woman. You at the bar, whatever, you get her number. Ask her when to reach out. Ask her, is it okay if I reach out tomorrow? Or should I give it a couple of days? Like, I'm serious. She'll tell you how to get what you want. She'll tell you. She'll be like, tomorrow's fine. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's gonna be like, yeah, give me a few days. But like asking permission to reach out or follow up does wonders, man.
That part definitely, yeah, most definitely with that. Yeah, I think following up in general, I noticed this in school. I think timely matter, like you mentioned with the idea of like a few days or next day, is pretty important too. I definitely get follow-up fatigue, something I'm working on. It sounds like it's something that a lot of people have. I'm recognizing more and more. Not even just like in dating, just in like I've noticed it just like even communicating with people, whether it be for like a show or even like a work thing. That's a thing that people have. So yeah, I think it's good to recognize that that is a very key component if you're looking for results. And a lot of times, if you care about it enough, like I care about the show a lot, you kind of like force yourself to follow up. I think a lot of times it's a matter of like conviction. I think it's for many people in different sort of interpersonal relationships, there's a lack of follow up, and they may feel like, oh, I'm not feeling great today, or oh, I'll do it tomorrow. But I feel a lot of times if you have that conviction there, whether you want to follow up with that person you had a date with, or you want to follow up with that booker that you want to really be on the venue and continue to do shows there, a lot of times when you have that conviction, that's going to lead to you being more fuel to do those timely follow-ups.
Yeah, I also think that to avoid follow-up fatigue, I think you should diversify your follow-up methods. So if you're trying to get onto a show, emailing the booker 5 times is going to tire you out and probably not get you nowhere. Change how you follow up. Go to the show. Have another comedian put a little bug in the booker's ear. Like, there's other ways you can follow up to avoid the fatigue. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to just keep DMing the same chick. You know what I mean? No, like maybe you might want to shoot her a tweet. Maybe you might want to pull up on where she. Well, I don't know.
Don't do that.
I don't know how the young cats do it these days. I don't know.
Officer, this man was in my DMs. Then he hit me up on Twitter. Then he showed it's my place of work. I heard he's a part of YSL. There's but I think that's a very good point. Diversify your follow-ups. For this show, I was contemplating getting a billboard. I looked at the price of billboards. I'm not going to get a billboard.
How much is it?
It was like 800 plus, which isn't crazy, but like, you know, my situation, and I'm about to have apartments myself. My rent's about to double and all that. I got to get a new sofa. So I'm like, part of me is like, that would be cool. But I think if I knew what the results would be for a billboard, like if it was just like, oh, you have a billboard randomly in Allentown and it's there, but it doesn't really help with outcome. If it was like unequivocal data of like, oh yeah, a billboard's going to get you like at least 15 to 30 more people. I'm like, all right, well then ticket prices, reduce that from the 800 or something that you're paying for it. Maybe it's worth it. But flyers, all that stuff, that's doable.
You can figure out if the billboard's worth it. Marketing numbers wise, I feel like they say 10% of the people you reach are interested. So if you know how many people ride past this billboard every day, you can factor in how, you know what I mean? Like you can figure out like my billboard's been up for a week. This many people rode past. So about 10% of them are interested and a couple will come out. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's how marketing people think. They'd be like, well, if we can reach, that's why Instagram, when you promote a post on Instagram, they'd be like, this promotion will reach approximately 10,000 to 15,000 people. So you can know in your head, like, okay, if it reaches that many people, 10% will be interested. You know what I mean? So that's literally just the numbers over years of marketing and advertising they've come up with. You know what I'm saying?
Damn. I gotta say, I don't know what you're saying. I hear it. And again, logically, it makes sense, but it is not resonating in a way that seems like it could be a practice for myself.
Look, for you, this is how for you, print 100 flyers. hand them out to 100 people.
Yeah.
Like 10 are gonna come.
That is the goal. That is one of them. That's like every time I do like when I was doing like the conversation club, I would like go into Lehigh Valley a week prior and I just like let people know about it, hit up the mall and all that. So yeah, that's a good strategy. Get a bunch of flyers and get it there. I'm thinking of maybe getting the QR code, putting it on there. But yeah, I think it should be a fun time. I mean, it's definitely going to be like from just the show itself and live, definitely going to be a fun time in terms of like how many people show up. I'm hoping for more than, I don't want just fine. I want extravagant, admittedly. So that's kind of what I'm setting high standards for this one. So I don't know if Kevin Samuels would be mad at me for doing that. I don't know. He'd be like, well, I don't know if you deserve that or not, but I think it's in the cards. So we're going to try.
Diversify your marketing, hand out flyers, put up flyers on online promotion, message people that live in the area. You got to diversify.
Yeah, that's been a nice one. Messaging random people that I went to Kutztown with. Like, hey, you haven't heard from me in 3 years. But what are you doing June 10th?
Bro, I'm telling you, I do it. You got to create a nice, has to be a nice template. Like, hey, didn't want to bother you. Just want to let you know I'm doing this. If you're free, just want to let you know. I know you live there. I know you be in there. Just want to let you know. Just very non-invasive. You know what I mean? Just like.
I'm going to use that line, but I just wanted to let you know. I think that's a cool one.
Just dropping this here for you. I didn't just thought, let you know.
Just throwing it out there. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that one. Hope everything's going well with the baby. Bring the baby if you want to. I'm just letting you know.
So I'm going to keep that in mind. That's good. Those are some solid suggestions. I appreciate that. And with that, let's segue in some prop suggestions. As noted before, I was working on the challenge of writing a page per day. Still doing it. Challenge is still going. With that, if this is something that you'd like to practice in general for listeners, I'm going to recommend Designwork Inc.'s notebook, particularly notebook number 17. The way it breaks down is that I just realized I don't want to expose my notes to the world, but it gives you like the days and all that stuff and the months that you're able to, so you're able to mark down like August 14th, and you have like a whole, I wish I had an empty page, but I completed this one, so I can't really show that. But like, it gives you like a whole good length worth to do in a day, where I found that whether it was doing like flash fiction, where you're creating just like a really short story, or just a journal entry, this was a good amount. It felt very much like you kind of get the flow of it maybe towards the middle, and there's still enough at the bottom where like you could still get in the rhythm and practice it. Because sometimes you use like a standard notebook, you'll get in the rhythm like 3/4 way down there, and then it's like, oh well, I'm done already. This one, they're a little bit lengthier, and it has the time and not the time. Well, I think it does have a time option back, but it has the date option, so you could go back and look at it. And so far it's been cool, like just being able to like open the book and be like, oh, on February 17th, this is what you were thinking. Again, who knows what's going to come of it, sort of thing, but I just ordered a new one, and I highly recommend it.
Nice. I'm not gonna lie, man, I fell off on my goal.
I wanted to follow up with you on that regarding the teenager, like following up on stories.
I haven't.
That happens sometimes.
I haven't I've been like thinking, like with my jokes, man, I literally will think them for a while sometimes before I even write them down or like put it in my phone. So I've been thinking about how I want to tackle this and what I want to talk. I do have a premise. It's about nobody steals, because if you do, I fight over premises. But it's a premise about how growing up as a black kid, you grow up with two kinds of. Your friends have two different kinds of black dads, right? You have your absent black dads, and then you have your cheap black dads. Those are the only two. Like, there's no other black dads from like my generation. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think that black dads are cheap because they see why some of the black dads are absent.
Oh my goodness!
So like they understand that their money could be taken away from them in a second, whether it's jail or death. You know what I'm saying? So because you don't know your dad is the reason I can't get Jordans. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's just the
kind of linking both up, sort of thing.
That's where I'm trying to go with that. So that's like one thing I've been thinking about. And that was the first time I actually like vocalized that. So
I like the Jordan part. I think like I just like touch it up a little bit, but that's definitely like a thought.
So that's where I've been going. That's kind of where I want to go with the, thing about my dad.
Huh. What about military dads? I feel like there's a lot of black military dads.
Yeah, there is. I feel like also black military dads they fall in the same category as cheap. It's just like I don't know a black dad that isn't cheap. I don't know. I can't speak for white people or Asian people. I know black dads in my generation, all are cheap.
Yeah.
So.
Shout out to my friend Ray's dad. Pretty cheap. Pretty cheap.
Either cheap or not there. Either way, you're not going to get those. Either way, you're not getting the sneakers you want. Okay.
I don't know if you had like a proper suggestion follow up.
Proper suggestion. I'm sorry, I went on a tangent. I'm telling you, I've been watching this for like a couple weeks now. The NBA playoffs are on right now. The NBA playoffs. Today is Sunday. There's 2 Game 7s on. You guys won't hear this in time to catch those games. Y'all should tune into the NBA playoffs, and I'm gonna tell you why. There are some great play. Like when you get older, they're gonna be like talk about LeBron James and talk about Michael Jordan. You hear all these conversations about the greats and all this other stuff. There are people in the NBA right now like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is amazing. And I'm telling y'all, he in his bag, his prime right now. I'm telling y'all, tune into the NBA playoffs, watch some of the greatest basketball you're gonna see until next year. And the NBA playoffs, I love it. Like they come on like every day.
Is it Giannis? He's Greek, right?
Greek, yeah.
I know nothing about him but the name Giannis. I was like, oh, it has to be a Greek. I took an educated guess and it paid off.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh wow, that's too Greek. That's super, super Greek. That's cool. Yeah, that's I'm of the ilk of like I'll watch during the finals for any sport really. Yeah. So I hear what you're saying on that of like watch the ones that aren't as necessarily celebrated because you're gonna get some gems in that too. I could definitely see that being the case. It's like the road to WrestleMania. It's like people tune in right at the end when it's like you're approaching the street of WrestleMania. But if you go a few miles before, you're gonna hit Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam. It's a good time. So I understand what you mean.
There's entertainment in the road.
The process. Entertainment in the process. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, let's chill, man. My course of action for today is to do the church show with Nate the landlord and my barber. I think I show you the flyer. I'm billed as Kirk Griffin, my clean comedy alias. So I'm gonna gear up a little bit more on that. I've been tagging up jokes and such, so we'll see. I feel okay about it. I always get that way with shows. I'm always like, oh, I feel okay about it. Then it's like, oh, once you're actually up there, I've come to accept that that's kind of just how I am. It's not even necessarily like a bad thing. I just have this thing right before shows. I'm like, and then it's like, oh, it went fine or not. So
you should have that. You're supposed to have that. It's a good feeling. When you don't have that no more, that's when you need to worry.
That's producer Pat says sometimes I forget I can do comedy right before I go on stage. That's funny. When I had a little bit of a hangover before a Church of Satire show, I had a little bit of that. I don't know if you guys could tell. I had to like go in the other room and be like, oh man, I really got to line these jokes out. I think I have I think I do this, and it worked out okay. So
we're all glad it did.
Yeah. Me too. Cool, man. Do you got anything you want to plug or anything like that?
I don't know. Tomorrow night I'll be at Bel Air, Maryland.
Nice.
May 25th, I got to join out Long Island, New York. So check that out. And just a bunch of stuff everywhere. I don't even know, man. My calendar. I don't like the calendar on the iPhone. Like when I had an Android, I can look at my calendar and see like if I have 2 different things on my calendar, it'll be like 2 different dots.
Right.
But on the calendar on the iPhone, it's just like it could be a million things on that day. It just be 1 dot. So I just like I have like 1 dot every day. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know.
I've yet to transfer over to an Apple. I've yet to get a new phone in general. Producer Pat suggests try FamCal.
I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing it. I'm just not downloading any more calendars.
Is that a count? I didn't know if that was like a different type of phone.
I don't know.
Is that like a
But
family
yeah.
plan? What are you
Also, June 2nd is the return
return?
of the Mass Hysterical Comedy Show.
Oh my goodness.
We have a new location, Satellite Art Club in Brooklyn. Yeah, so June 2nd.
Very nice. Very nice. June 2nd. Oh, it's coming up soon too. Nice.
Thursday.
And you got June 24th, Black Box Theater in Lidditz.
Yeah, Lidditz. It's lit.
I think I'm going to slide through for that one. That should be cool. Cool, man.
We'll
Nice,
have
man.
Have a good time. So yeah, it's lit.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening, all that stuff. You know what to do. You know what to like. You know you got to subscribe. You know you got to
comment,
other, and all that stuff.
Share.
Yeah, you know, spread it and share it individually. If you think you have like a friend in need, just send it to them. Thanks for listening, and talk to you later.
Peace.